Well, it's a little bit wet. It's certainly a bit soggy out there, and certainly the ground is saturated, but these drivers are going to be all ready and raring to go for this event. Welcome aboard to WOR. This is Xbox Tier 2, and we're at the Belgium Grand Prix here tonight, and a very, very soggy Grand Prix is going to be ahead of us. First, a soggy qualifying, of course, because then we have the sprint following on from this qualifying event. It is myself, Jota, alongside co-commentator Cal, as per usual. Sir, it is going to be a very, very interesting event ahead of us. We have the opportunity for drivers to go out there and test their strength on the second sprint event of this season. However, do they prioritise the qualifying or do they go for the race?
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be back in the commentary box for tonight's race, as you mentioned there, the second sprint race of the season, and an extra bit of a spanner in the works tonight with the wet qualifying. So yeah, very good question you asked there. It'll be good to see tonight. It's a little bit of a longer one, an extra 9 laps of racing because of this sprint qualifying format. Still your usual 16 or 17 minutes short qualifying, but the extra little bit of pressure, you could ask, and the sprint race will make this one a little bit interesting tonight.
Pardon me for just having a very quick on board as we just hop over to the Roleplay 1 driver Noctis. I'm just seeing how the conditions are out there at the moment, and greasy is certainly the way to describe that one, as we've just seen him go through poo on his track extending like nobody's business at the moment. So he's obviously still just adapting to the settings of the car, alongside, of course, the racing strategy that he may have to pick, because, of course, if it is a dry qualifying and then a wet qualifying followed by a dry sprint and dry race, we are certainly going to be in for an interesting race as regards strategy for those that are the chief strategists out there at the moment. And the chat already blowing up at the moment, as we've got Cop in the chat saying, whether it's raining, oh my days, it certainly is as well, and 19 drivers all having to fight quite hard, you'd have to say, Carl, to get used to this setup as the first driver to be setting his lap. Of course, will be the Roleplay 1 driver Noctis leaving in the Red Bull as he just comes around the final corner to start his lap.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for all these drivers tonight. I think normally you don't do a lot of wet practice for most races. However, I think Spa is one of those ones where you kind of expect rain. It's certainly less common in this game. I don't think you get as much wet weather races. However, it's still definitely a factor. So the drivers may be a little bit more prepared than they usually will be. It's only intermediate conditions as well, so it definitely will be easier. As Noctis coming up at Rouge for the first time now. Oh, it's a bit of a lift off. It's maybe a bit of braking as well there. It just about keeps it in track limits, which is probably the most important thing there. But yeah, 15 minutes for these guys to try and get used to it and try and set the best laps they can. I'm
sure you were watching it on board or off board. It looked quite delicate, actually. It was a bit of a lock-up, actually, going into the next set of corners. So it is going to be a bit of a difficult one, you'd have to say, for the drivers out there. Because the thing is, as well, the track just doesn't look wet. It looks greasy. It looks not particularly clean. And taking a look at that line as well, the racing line is not particularly prominent either. So the drivers are going to be struggling on the intermediates straight away, and we're already seeing people getting some half spins up. I think it looks like it was Eau Rouge. I think it was one of the Alpines. I think it was Axel getting into a little bit of a tiff there, or it was either that or it was the Rev Caterpillar fan club, as Noctis track extends through there but lifts off, so he doesn't gain any time doing so, and he keeps his lap as a result.
Yeah, it's been a pretty chaotic lap, you could say, for Noctis so far. You can tell he's maybe not slightly confident with the conditions. He's still trying to test the limits, still trying to see where that car is at the moment. But it's not been a bad lap nonetheless, and he's kept it on the track so far. And I think that is the most important things. With 19 drivers on the grid, I think just setting a lap early on just kind of puts you up for a good session in general. But we'll stick on board with the Red Bulls at the moment as it comes through the Blanchimont now. It's just that it's a bit heavy lift actually through there. I thought you could maybe do that flat, but obviously not. And there was just one last corner. It's the infamous, I should say, bus stop chicane, and you can see there second gear, and that's kind of instead of the third gear you'd normally see in the drive. It's a short run at the line now as he comes out the final corner. He comes across the line, and it's going to be a 1:55 flat.
Yeah, 1:55 immediately out the blocks for Noctis. There's not going to be one of those lap times that are going to be blown straight out of the water, you'd have to say here, as we just watch the Shazoo driver Venom come across the final corner. And he'll come across the line to set the initial lap time himself of 1:56.5, so a second and a half slower compared to those around them at the moment, as we look at a spinning car towards the back, and that is Rev Caterpillar, another Alpine, struggling as they go through Radion. And the Rev Caterpillar fan club will be slightly jittered teeth as the Academy for Shazoo driver goes third with Axel, but Piccolo for Shazoo comes fastest so far with that 54.9. We've got plenty of other drivers also coming across to start their laps as well. Quantum will start his lap now. It was an initial 158.9, but that was an invalid lap as we're just having a look at the Paradox and racing driver Levi in the Ferrari as he just goes up Radion.
Yeah, he certainly is, and these wet weather conditions just allow for maybe a little bit more of a mixed grid, which I think will make this sprint race a little bit more interesting. We were talking before how sometimes the sprint races aren't as good because your fast drivers are already at the front, maybe your slightly midfield drivers already in the midfield, but this wet weather can maybe just throw a spanner out the works and we might get a few different drivers a bit further up. The main ones I'm looking at here, ES3 Poppers and Jam Pancakes 44, two big names, two drivers that both drive on the controller. I kind of thought wet weather conditions, surely those two could be dark horses here.
Oh, I'm just keeping a very firm eye on Levi at the moment, the PSR driver, who is really, really apprehensive going through No Name. He was struggling on that throttle, got a curb and got a big tank slapper, well caught though from the Ferrari as he now just heads through into the end of the second sector where he's got I believe one of the Alpines in front, and he's struggling a little bit with oversteer through here as well. So going to be a precarious lap, and he really is driving the hell out of that Ferrari at the moment as the Alpine gets well out of the way for Levi at the moment. He sets a second sector lap time in the 32.2s for the Ferrari. So he is really, really pushing as hard as he can, which is very characteristic, you have to say, of PSR.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's good to see him there. He's definitely on the limit. He's trying to use every little bit of track he can. It is very impressive to see. I'm trying to see if there's any other drivers coming to send their laps at the moment. We've got Levi, who's about to start another lap there. VLX Corner, looks like he's coming to his lap, so we'll stick on board with the McLaren man as he comes through Blanchimont now. And the next corner for him to navigate is a bus stop chicane, but he can just before the 100 metres in the wet conditions, keeping it in third gear, contrary to what we've seen from Noctix in second earlier on, but he's nice and cautious up to fourth early, trying to get the best exit possible. It's a short run to the line though, and he comes across the line now. What time is it? It's a 154.3, and that is provisional pole by 6/10 of a second.
Well, obviously you co-commentate in the Legacy division as well over on WOR, and you have to say Velox are... specifically Velox anyway, not just in WRLD but in other leagues such as TPS as well. Velox is really starting to gain a little bit of momentum, as are RP1 at the moment, so I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how their teams go, especially when you've got the likes of Quantum coming across the line to take the provisional pole, but just beaten ever so slightly as well by 8 thousandths of a second by the Hungarian hero himself, VSR Akos. Quick opportunity to have a quick look in the chat at the moment as well, as we're just watching Max Riss now coming around the third sector. We've got people such as Jamie Johnson in there. We've got people like Sloppy Club. We've also got Otis Lawrence in there as well. Good afternoon, good evening, FRA Elite. Hope you're doing well. A big supporter of, I believe, looking at the comments there, the Pico. The Pico fan club has now arrived, leaded by none other than FRA Elite. So Piccolo at the moment, not doing a bad job himself throughout the season. So we'll be looking forward to seeing how he does in this race, especially, of course, with the setup that we've got of a sprint race, which will be 8 laps. So 8-lap sprint. The question is do the drivers go out and risk it to try and snag themselves pole position is the key one here. 2 FRA drivers holding the second row, by the way. Oh, make that now no longer as RP1 Noctis comes across the line to take third, as we just follow PSR Levi, who has been in an absolute sprint as Venom comes across the line to improve his lap time to a 154.3. It's a good lap time from the Mercedes, but the Ferrari is looking to try and match the strategy. I'm just taking a look at his second sector, which is in the 32.0, so he is competitive with the likes of Quantum, but his third sector's really off the pace. He goes to 6th place behind Kai.
Yeah, not too bad there indeed. 6th place isn't too bad. I saw Jam Pancakes now coming across the line. Currently no lap time to his name. Where does he set? It's only P13 for that Alpha Tauri.
Yeah, the number 69 Alpha Tauri having a blast at St. George Esports, but an unfortunate error in TPS the other day saw him and his none other than Coca Patriot McCabe Sam struggling in the British Grand Prix as a result of a few collisions. And would you believe, a very, very interesting circumstance for the lead of the sprint race, as we have Shazoo Venom and Velox Jack sharing a 1 minute 54.322 with third place Akos with a 325. So 3 thousandths of a second separate the top 3, with first and second sharing the pole position lap time, but of course Venom gets it first, so therefore he gets pole. Mighty close stuff, as Tier 2 always brings.
Yeah, you've got Quantum as well, the 337, so 1400s as well, off the pace, which is pretty considering how long the track is. A 1 minute 54 lap time. You have 4 drivers that close together. That is pretty special. So yeah, incredible stuff from all of them there. F3 Stonks now coming across the line, currently sitting P19. Where can he put that Aston Martin? It's up into P5, 1 minute 54.4. A very good lap time there from the Aston Martin.
So as it stands at the moment, we've got 0.799 seconds separating 14th from first, 0.02 of a second separating first from third, and less than a tenth separating first from fifth, thanks to Stonks coming in with that 5th place for Aston Martin. So really, ultimately close stuff. I'm absolutely gobsmacked with how close this qualifying session is. We've got 7.5 minutes though in this session. Of course, this is not the qualifying for pole position of the recent rule change, of course. Those that will be pole position will be awarded to the person who wins the sprint race. So this is to determine that grid for the sprint, and as repeated, it is an 8-lap sprint. Which, I mean, the question thrown to you, of course, you're a tier 4 driver and you get the sprint thrown at you. Surely in that circumstance you've got to contemplate your race strategy first over the sprint. So if you were, let's say, on pole, but people are challenging you too hard, you don't really try and battle, do you? Or do you? I mean, I'd love to know your strategy on that one as Piccolo goes fastest with a cracking lap, 1:54.1.
Yeah, it's a good point there, and I think that's probably the issue you see with sprints. I think you see it in real life, you see it in probably in the F1 game as well, but there's not too much of a point fighting your life for 1 or 2 positions. You know, if you're going from second to third, you're not going to risk spinning out for it. You know, the risk versus reward sometimes isn't worth it in sprint qualifying. I think we might see that again today. I can't remember what the Tier 2 sprint race was like at Bahrain, but from other ones, even last night in Tier 1, there's not a lot of action, there's not a lot of chaos when you would normally see, just because drivers, they're just a little bit more tentative because they know in the back of their head their qualifying position is up at stake here.
Keeping a very firm eye on what's happening at the moment with this man of the moment, Rev Caterpillar. Of course, Rev Caterpillar fan club, very happy as we go on board with him, as he's the only person in Tier 2 at the moment to yet set a lap time. A couple of spin-outs actually, one at the top of Radion as he really chucks the car in through into the bus stop chicane. He's going to keep it nice and steady though. There is a yellow flag being waved at the moment for a slow Ferrari, I believe, as he heads through into the final corner. Then he'll want to try and keep at least some kind of a conservative lap time, and he has got time to get another lap on the board. He'll come across the line and it'll be 15th place for him with a 1:54.9, but his second sector lap time was really not that bad.
No, it wasn't bad at all. So yeah, just not long left in this session now. Try to see if any drivers come to the end of the lap, but it looks like most drivers are either just started the lap or coming into the pit lane now. So yeah, a lot of times are still up for grabs. A lot of people, I think, that are maybe underachieving or underperforming, I should say, so far. Adam does the big one sticking out. Currently second in the standings, joint on points with FRA Stonks at the top, and he's currently down in P14 now with 54.8, a little bit off the pace, 7/10 off the pace at the moment for the Alpha Tauri. So yeah, I'd expect a little bit better from him. And then yeah, with about 5 minutes to go, you'd like to think he'll be trying to get himself up into that top 5.
Otis Lawrence in the chat, by the way, has just said that he's actually engineering Caesar, Stonks and Kai at the moment. So he is looking out for his team, which is a big salute and obviously a big support for the FRA team. Indeed, just having a very firm eye at the moment to what's happening around the field, as we've got plenty of people all on out laps at the moment. But about people that are going to be on laps, Akos will come across the line. Will he improve his lap time? He would have done. He would have been 8/10 up apparently, according to my screen, but I doubt that is the case, as you know, everything's just reset on my screen. So no, I don't think he was on a lap. But Akos is going to give it a go now. Will the Mercedes? And the Hungarian hero, you'd have to say, has been a little bit out of form. He's been pretty rapid, to be fair, the first bit of this season, but the last couple of races with VSR in WRLD may translate into a bit of a questionable performance maybe in the regular league racing, which is a real shame because he's renowned for his consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's currently sitting third in the standings, and the consistency is what you need in this tier. You don't really need to be winning every race. We've seen it in the years gone past that you don't need to be winning every race to win the championship. You know, you look at the moment, the man top of the standings, Stonks, has only won one race. Second or joint first in the standings, Adam Dude hasn't even won a race yet. So, and Akos hasn't won a race either. So most of the guys winning races aren't getting the consistency. So the guys at the top, like Akos, like Adam Dude, like Stonks, are getting a bit more consistent. However, Akos, as you rightly mentioned, he's been a little bit off it in the last few races, and yeah, he'll be looking to try and prove that wrong tonight.
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, that will be the case. We'll keep an eye out then on the Haas as he comes across the line. Does Kai? He's wanted to start his lap now. Does the Haas, and of course him being engineered alongside 2 other drivers through Otis Lawrence at the moment as he heads through into La Source. So just keep an eye on Akos at the moment. He is flying at the moment. He's actually 0.95 seconds up at the moment. Is the Hungarian hero. He's actually finding some real pace here. So he's actually going to be putting a bit of a challenge on Quantum as it stands, because his first sector was also pretty sprightly as well, as he goes through and invalidates his lap at the last call. And you'd have to say he's going to be kicking himself for that one, because I think he would have certainly been well within the realms of pole position with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's unfortunate for him there. And I don't know if I'm just talking rubbish here, but does it look like it's drying up a little? But I'm just thinking this track definitely looks drier than it was a long time ago, which might just mean the last one to set a lap could have the best chance of setting the best lap, because you can just see I'm riding on board with someone here. Adam Dude goes fastest with a 52.9. Maybe just proving my point right there, because that is 4 tenths faster than the next person in P2.
Rev Caterpillar, being a Rev Caterpillar doing Rev Caterpillar things, has decided to strap on a set of soft tyres until the very last second. So I'm assuming he's going to wait it out as far as he can using a set of soft tyres in the hope he could snag pole, which is not a bad call, considering we've got lap times coming in thick and fast at the moment for an improved lap time, as we're just following VSR Chester at the moment. He's got to be setting a relatively quicker lap time as well. The question is whether he is going to be faster than Axel or come across the line, and he does go up to second place. So we started to see some of the bike markers really come in here, and Rev Caterpillar is on a set of soft tyres, so he's boldly making the call to go onto a set of dry tyres, which may be a risky move, but it is renowned for Rev Caterpillar strategy. BSR Levi goes fastest of anyone so far, as we just keep a very firm eye on an Alfa Romeo coming around the corner, and that is Velox Jack, but he's on an invalid lap at the moment. The Haas of Kai, I believe, is now coming in. One of the Red Bulls is taking a very long time to get around the corner, as Kai wasn't coming in the pits. He was leaving it very late to come across the line to set a 1 minute 51.7. So, 8, sorry, I'll get there in the end. Either way, really, really good lap time. As Akos has gone 2.5 seconds faster in the second sector. He's flying, and maybe, just maybe, that invalid lap may have been a bold call to say, you might not even need to worry about this lap. The question is, has he got enough ERS to be able to get him down here? It's all about that call. Drops it into 7th gear because he doesn't want to make the same mistake again. As he goes into the bus stop chicane, he's got 55 seconds left on the clock. There's plenty of time for this track to get better and better when it comes to the grip. Here he comes then across that line. Will Akos go fastest? He will, with a 51.0, but you've got to say this track is getting faster with each passing time, and anyone that's left it last minute might anyone that came out earlier rather are going to be in serious trouble. I'm just keeping an eye on Rev Caterpillar. Remember, he's the only driver who's decided to come out on a set of soft tyres. This is going to be a bold call. Stonks goes fastest, as we have, I believe it's one of the Ferraris. I think it might have been Fresh coming across for 7th. But this is all going to be about what Rev Caterpillar could do on the soft tyre here, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as you mentioned there, whoever left it the latest they can probably has the best chance. He's just going on board with VSR Chester now, coming down to his lap. He's going to be fairly late compared to the rest of them. I don't think he's going to make it across the line to go again. So this will be his final attempt to the lobby. As he comes across the line now, where can he put that pass? And it is provisional pole position at 150.4. However, with this track near enough bone dry now, I think we'll see a pole position much faster than that.
Yeah, I'm wondering here whether Rev Caterpillar's made a call here. I'm going to stay on board with him for a very brief period to see how he does, as he now heads up Eau Rouge into Radion, and you have to say that car is looking fairly stable as DRS has been enabled. Has Rev Caterpillar made the boldest call of anyone to have a go at this particular event? I must say this is going to be one hell of an effort from Rev Caterpillar to leave it this late, to go on to a set of soft tyres. He gambled, and it may be working a treat. He's down his 17th at the moment as we follow him as he goes through Brooks Eye, and he'll want to try and hold on that inside line if he can, and he has hit the apex absolutely splendidly. And you have to say that Alpine is at serious possibility of making some inroads here. More laps coming across the board here. We've got his teammate Maxris coming across the line rather, sorry. He's in 6th place with a lap time 1.5 seconds slower than pole position, which is only the indication here that these lap times are getting slower on the intermediates, which only means this Alpine is in real possibility of making a call here. And would you believe he's in an Alpine with Fernando Alonso racing for Alpine, who made that call, remember, in Britain back in 2017 to switch on to a set of soft tyres in Q1 and get the, well, not pole position, but first place. This is going to be a bold effort.
Yeah, it certainly is. Shubicole currently sitting provisional pole. Jam Pancakes as well. Comes so close. He gets slightly blocked by a McLaren near the end there as well. The thing is that Levi as well going up into P3. But all eyes on Rev Caterpillar. It's been a masterclass so far. He just has to navigate this bus stop chicane. And the pole position could be his for the sprint race. Coming out of the bus stop chicane now. And it is going to be pole for the Alpine. It's a 148.9. And there you have it. Rev Caterpillar. It's a masterclass review, mate.
Oh, that's not a common W, is it? Rev Caterpillar, pole position in this tier 2 session with a 1 minute 41.989 as Jack gets a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking, even though that he's actually not in the session. Apparently, he's finished this qualifying, so it makes no difference anyway. He's down at the back in 19th. Either way, Rev Caterpillar, what a call to go onto a set of soft tyres as the Alpine, in an unexpected twisted tier 2, takes pole position by switching over to a set of soft tyres at the very last minute. He made the call, and now he's on the front by over 2.5 seconds, nearly 3 seconds between him and Piccolo.
Yeah, we all laughed at him, didn't we? And look who's laughing now. He's currently sitting in pole position for the sprint race. A lot of work to do if he wants the pole position for the actual race, however. Nonetheless, it was a great call from him. It was bold, but it was Rev Caterpillar all over it, wasn't it? Only he would go for a move like that, and only him would make that one work.
Well, nonetheless, it's a one hell of a performance from the Alpine. We'll have to take a look at the rest of the field, though, as well, of course. Of those on the intermediate tyres, Piccolo absolutely flying high, and Jam Pancakes managing to shake off what happened in TPS the other day, managing to take third with Levi in fourth, Adam Doon in fifth. Noctis in sixth with Typical in seventh, Bobbitts in eighth, Chester in ninth, and Stonks in 10th, with Maxris taking 11th, Akos in 12th, Venom in 13th, Caesar in 14th, with Fresh in 15th, and Kai in 16th place. You'd have to say... I'm absolutely flabbergasted that we're in this position to say Rev Caterpillar is on pole, but it's not to discredit him as a driver, because he absolutely is a very quick driver, but you wouldn't expect the quality of the engineering to fall in the hands of, of I believe it's Novus, actually, to be honest with you, no disrespect to that team, to take that and grab a pole position, and then therefore he might not even have engineers. Let's be candid, he might be on his own if he's made that call on it by himself. What a call. He starts at the front. I kept saying it's pole because I'm absolutely flabbergasted, but we have to confirm, Cal, it is not pole until he finishes this race in first, and whomever gets first in this sprint will be the winner on the pole position.
Yes, absolutely, and a lot of work to do for him now, but I think this could be a very good sprint race. I've got a feeling you've got some... it's no disrespect to Rev, he's a great driver, but he's not normally going to be at the front, is he? If it was a dry qualifying, he wouldn't be on pole. So he's maybe not got the pace for this race. You've got your championship leaders, Adam Dood in 5th, and then you've got FRA Stonks all the way down in 10th as well. Definitely well out of position. VSR Akos down in 12th as well, and a few other very talented drivers a bit further down than they'd have probably fancied. So over the next 8 laps here, a lot of drivers with a lot of making up to do.
Of course, those towards the back that were missed out at the end of that qualifying session, Axel, Quantum and Jack making out the bottom 3, and you have to say Velox will be a bit disappointed that Quantum got 18th place, because he was right in it for what would have been a fantastic qualifying for Velox in the raining conditions, but in the end, unfortunately, Velox did not lead the way, and they are down at the back in 17th and 18th respectively. In that scenario, that is obviously going to be 18th and 19th respectively. Disappointing stuff nonetheless, but either way, what a performance from the intermediate tyre runners. Piccolo, Jam Pancakes, Levi and Adam Dood really managing to just nail out those intermediate tyres the best they can as we are counting down into this sprint session, and I am certainly looking forward to this one in our second sprint event coming up here in the Spa de Francorchamps, as the drivers are all on the grid, and we are going to be counting down those lights to go ahead for this race. We're in a sprint in Belgium, and leading the way, Rev Caterpillar, of course, from that amazing qualifying session, will immediately get a getaway. He gets a fantastic getaway versus Piccolo, but Piccolo, of course, will have the outside line. He can brake later, and he's able to defend from Jam Pancakes immediately. But look at Piccolo fly down the straight, which is certainly working a treat. Indeed, for the Shizou driver, he takes the lead in this race, going up Eau Rouge as the drivers go in sequence as Piccolo from Rev Caterpillar. Jam Pancakes getting a little bit of a challenge from Levi, who's in that mix. He's gone side by side, but look at Rev Caterpillar also getting into the mix. He'll want to go down the inside line, heading into the next set of corners into turn 5, and Rev Caterpillar gets into a spin with a collision with Piccolo in what is a bitterly disappointing twist for the Alpines, as both Alpines have spun going into 5.
Oh, it's 0 to 0 in a matter of moments. It's such a shame for Rev Caterpillar. Looking further back though. ESV Roberts making moves up into P6 now. He's got the outside for no name, and he's got the move. What a great start that was from the McLaren.
Yeah, really indeed a good race from him so far. 2 laps, 2 positions up in that one. Noctis up 1, of course, from Adam Dude up 1. Jam Pancakes managed to regain the 3rd after that spin out from Rev Caterpillar in that collision with Piccolo, which I've got no doubt will be sent to the stewards, and there'll be questions raised about whether it is possible to race side by side with the length of these cars and the width of these cars in Belgium. Either way, people, no, the chat not happy at all, as you can imagine, in that scenario. It is the first lap of 8 in this race, and of course, that is now going to drop Rev Caterpillar all the way down to the back, where he would have been qualified for this race, but unfortunately, the sprint has just sent him all the way back to where he would have gone, as Max Riss makes a move on Cesar for 16th. We keep an eye on this action as the Red Bull of Noctis is very keen to make a move on Adam Dude in 4th at the moment. What a race so far from AlphaTauri, by the way. Adam Dude getting in that 1 position puts AlphaTauri in a respective 2nd grid lockout at the moment. Good racing.
Yeah, definitely. I was just looking at P8 at the moment. Typical F1 come under a bit of pressure as well from the heart of F1 Kai as he goes down the inside into turn 1. A pretty simple move that is. Indeed, looking further back as well, a few bit of position changes as well. Shizuo Venom goes up into P8 as well.
Oh, it's disappointing stuff, isn't it? I'm still absolutely heartbroken for Rev, obviously, in that scenario. Going into turn 5, it would just look like it was going to be the hero effort here, but it's going to be a hero effort from this Red Bull, potentially, of Typical, as he looks to try and potentially make a move again on the Haas going again into turn 5, but can't find the straight line speed on that particular occasion. Looking back towards the front at the moment, Jam Pancakes is now starting, you have to say, on this lap anyway, starting to hold up Adam Dude at the moment. He's losing a little bit of time to Levi and potentially going to be out of DRS territory before the DRS territory even is allowed to be used. And that may be a call from AlphaTauri to say, Jam, you've got to let Adam Dude through, and you're going to defend from Noctis. Either way, Noctis looking very keen and very feisty, as is Bobberts as well. Bobberts in a really good race at the moment versus Noctis.
Yeah, Jam Pancakes maybe not got the pace at the moment to keep up with the front 2 of Levi and Piccolo, but yeah, it's definitely going to have an interesting dynamic now for this race. Adam Dude, he will be wanting to try and give Jam Pancakes the hurry up because he's got RP1 Noctis hounding them down behind him, and then behind him is the FE Bobberts as well. He's going to try and capitalise on that momentum from the good start that he had.
Yeah, really good racing so far from those towards the front. Jam Pancakes now out of the DRS territory, but has gained a bit of time on Adam Dude at the moment, so he's managed to get a shift on. But Adam Dude has lost time in the process of Jam Pancakes gaining time, and therefore now Jam Pancakes is out of DRS territory. Adam Dude will be in DRS, but he might not be close enough to make a move on Jam Pancakes, and therefore Noctis might be in close proximity here, as will Bobberts as well. As Jam Pancakes starting ever so slowly to get closer and closer. He's put it into overtake to try and get the line, but he's missed it, so he will not be getting the DRS on this particular occasion. But there is a battle towards the front happening between Levi and Piccolo. It's been a good couple of laps from the PSR driver, as Paradox Sim Racing will be happy to hear that their driver is now at the front of this sprint race, and he now is on the provisional pole alongside Piccolo at the moment, with Jam Pancakes, again, as I said, out of the DRS territory. And you'd have to say those 2 drivers at the front are going to begin to pull away. Jam Pancakes needs to make a move! Oh my goodness me, towards the back. Jam Pancakes has had an awful collision. I don't know what's happened there towards the back, but I've just saw a massive explosion in carbon fibre. And just towards the back, Jam Pancakes has lost, I think, a good chunk of his front wing. And in fact, he hasn't lost a good chunk of his front wing. I believe it was one of the Aston Martins who, and I'm not sure if he's got into a collision with someone, but he's losing buckets of time and buckets of positions as he's effectively getting pushed around by Velox Jack at the moment. I wonder if you've managed to get any insight on that one.
Yeah, I think he does have damage as well. Jam Pancakes lost it at the right hand of the turn 7 just after Lecom. And paid the price, unfortunately. A bit of a rookie error from someone with so much experience in the racing games. But yeah, it's a tough let to take for Jam Pancakes. As much as the pace wasn't there, he was running pretty nicely in P3. But yeah, I don't think that's going to stand for much longer. Just looking a bit further ahead as well. Oh wow, it's 3 wide on the back straight here as the Williams, Mercedes and Red Bull all going at it. This battle just for P8 on the grid. But they're all giving it absolutely everything. It's Venom who just about takes the lead as well. But the Williams behind him as well. If Shizuo Axel isn't going to give up too easily as well, coming into the bus stop, will he go for the move? But the Mercedes as well takes a bit too late. There's a Red Bull going away. There's a domino effect.
Oh, goodness me!
Everywhere. And I'm not too sure what's happened.
And goodness me, we've got a big spin out from Shizuo Academy Axel, who is now coming into the pits. He's spin out just in front of the pit lane entry, so it'll be a new front wing for him. Rev Caterpillar gaining those positions back now to P13 in that collision. Look at going this through La Source. All of these drivers really racing so hard at the moment as Rev Caterpillar is effectively squeezing Jam Pancakes onto the outside of that particular part of the track as they go through Eau Rouge. He is going to get the lovely toe though, but look at the Alpine. He's struggling up Eau Rouge, and Jam Pancakes had to lift off, and that's allowing Rev Caterpillar to get closer and closer, and he might be fighting with Jack here as Velox might be relegated down to 12th place. We still have a battle towards the front here. He's surely not going to go for the late breaking into this. He is as well, going around the outside line, and what a move indeed from Rev Caterpillar to get that one done cleanly. And Adam Dude at the front, by the way, up in 10th place, racing without a front wing at the moment. He's now relegated down to 11th place as Rev Caterpillar is on a bit of a comeback with half of this sprint race done. It has been absolutely manic as we've got also, I think it's Velox Jack's going off of the track here, and surely Jam Pancakes is going to say to the AlphaTauri, get out of the way. But the number 42 is determined to continue racing as they go through Puon. That AlphaTauri is going to be so incredibly slow, and he's holding up a big chunk of drivers, and this may cause another error for people behind who may get a little bit too greedy as they've got Akos going around the outside, and very well taken from the Hungarian hero as Adam Dude still tries to find out as we've lost a driver on a spin out going into turn number 14, and that one is Chasta as he gets into a half spin. He's now relegated down to P10 as he's trying to fight off Jam Pancakes at the moment. Rev Caterpillar doesn't know what's happening to him at the moment. He gets a spin out, relegated from second all the way down to the back. He's now managed to gain half of the positions that he lost, over half of the positions he's lost, as he now gets promoted up to P8.
Yeah, Rev Caterpillar, wow, what a man. There's a big contact as well from fresh behind, just about Rev Caterpillar, just about keeping it on the track, but wow, what a man. I think last few laps that was. It's all kicking off now. The AlphaTauris have certainly had better laps to remember. Adam did he still go without a front leg. I definitely respect the commitment, but I just don't think the pace will be there, unfortunately, for him. But yeah, what crazy few laps that was in the midfield, and a few people might not be too happy with how that one played out.
I have a horrible feeling here that Rev Caterpillar is not going to make this easy for Fresh, and when I say not easy, I have a feeling he's going to make it not just very difficult, but potentially a serious problem for Fresh to make the overtake. Here he goes then down the inside line. Is he going to get caught out? No, he's not going to squeeze him. I thought there would potentially have been a squeeze here because excuse me, there is going to be a two-car overtake as Rev Caterpillar gets overtaken from P8 down to P10, and he will now continue his battle, and I think he's going to have to settle for the fact P8 is the maximum he's going to be getting from this race. 3 laps to go in this sprint race here at the moment, and it has been a monumental achievement for the likes of FRA Kai, up 12 positions from 16th to 4th, as he's now trying to chase the top 3 and potentially put Bobbers under some pressure, who will be wondering how did this Haas get anywhere near me at this point in time. This is going to be a fantastic watch.
Yeah, it certainly has. It's been a fantastic watch already. I didn't expect so much from the sprint race today, but wow, it's delivered already. The 5 laps we have had PSR Fresh as well. He'll be looking to try and get away from this package that's Chester there, making a Chester, sorry, should say, making a slight mistake in Rev Caterpillar. Might be looking to pinch down on this back straight. Let's see, we'll stick on board with the Alpine. Well, it doesn't look like it's going to come too much, does it? Oh, maybe it does. He's using a bit of ERS now. The Haas might be caught napping here, coming down into the run up to Bon Chimon, going round the outside. You don't see this happen much. The Haas is going to give him the room. The Alpine going round the outside. He's going to be pushed off track slightly. Following the line of PSR Fresh in front. The outside line now turns to the inside from the bus stop again. Rev Caterpillar, it breaks there, but the Haas going round the outside. Just has a bit more grip than what the Alpine would have wanted. But Rev Caterpillar, he's still sticking on in there. He's got the DRS, but he's just not got the DRS or the tyre grip anymore. PSR Chester still just about staying ahead, and Rev Caterpillar is going to have to stay behind in P10.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't go for that one because he's got 2 very quick drivers in Akos and Pancakes just behind him as well, but a slight mistake from Chester is now offering the opportunity here for Rev Caterpillar again. That ERS management has been poor. He's been aggressive in this race as a result, as we've got an overtake with Kai and Bobbers now overtaking in P3, but it's all about this battle at the moment for P10 as Rev Caterpillar is under a lot of pressure here. The lack of electrical energy is not pulling that Renault engine down the straight very quickly here. He's going to go for the late braking surely as Rev Caterpillar, but he's decided he's going to learn from the lesson that he did on lap 1 through that corner, and he relegates himself down to P11. He's not going to fight Jam Pancakes too hard.
Nope, he's not. He thought better of that one. The Rev Caterpillar finds himself in P11, unfortunately for him, but definitely been giving us some good action.
Sorry, I was just saying VSR Akos looked for a little bit of an inside line going through Bruxai, actually, wasn't he? He is still looking here as he goes through into Puon, but no, chooses in the end not to look for it. Akos is really quick at the moment on this part of the race here. Rev Caterpillar obviously struggling. I think the tyre degradation is certainly a factor as we've got side-by-side action happening between Chester and Fresh at the moment. That's VSR, PSR action happening, but the Haas stays in front for P8 at the moment. Worth talking about penalties, by the way, at the moment. Quantum and Chester both share 6 penalties between them. 6 second penalties. Oh, it's a spin! And Rev Caterpillar again going into that corner, and again he's just been pushing too hard, and he's pushed it ultimately beyond the limits of the car, and he's relegated back down once again to 16th place. I really feel for him.
Yeah, it's been a tough one, hasn't it, from Rev Caterpillar. He done so well as well for the comeback. But yeah, maybe today isn't meant to be. But he's got a race next to 22 laps of Spa. Maybe he can make up for it then. He's still, P16, so at least he's not last. So yeah, it's not completely all lost hope for Rev Caterpillar.
Of course, Shazoo Academy Axel will be the person that will be on the last place for the sprint race after he DNF from the incident that happened, full enough, with Rev Caterpillar and a bunch of other drivers actually, and forcing him to get needing a front wing change. In the end, I think he just gave up. Penultimate lap then of this sprint in Belgium. DRS now open for Jam Pancakes as we're just on board with the Alpha Tower, and it doesn't look to be getting any closer at the moment. The electrical energy in the RBPT engine not pulling him along very nicely at the moment. Fresh also down a little bit, now into around mid-20s at the moment, but through the corners, Jam Pancakes is looking fairly quick. His only issue is a 3-second penalty on his name at the moment, which is only going to allow Maxus potentially Jack into the mix as well, which could offer a few opportunities for the Ferrari. The Haas in 8th place has 6 seconds worth of penalties. Typical is going to gain massively from Quantum, and he'll be promoted up to 6th as it stands at the moment. And it looks like Fresh might be up to 7th as well after all of that, with the result of those time penalties. Top 5 though, all without a penalty, but Bobbert still holding on to Kai for P3 as Pancakes and Akos are now fighting hammer and tongue here as they're heading through, looks like going through turn 12 and 13. Akos promoted up to 10th, and now he wants to have a little bit of a go at Fresh, but he has a 3-second penalty as well, as now Fresh has a 3-second time penalty for track extending, would you believe, through that corner at turn 15. That now offers the opportunity for Akos, from Pancakes and Fresh, to all battle for position, but Maxis is going to gain massively. He's going to go from 12th to 8th as it stands.
Yeah, well, he'll be happy with this one. He's just looking at Jam Pancakes and well, he said that up the inside. He absolutely does. He's looking for it. Akos gives him the room. But there you have it, Jam Pancakes. He's not scared of going down the inside, is he? He's now going to get the run into someone. He's got the DRS. He pulls to the inside already. He's going to get the straight line speed as well. But I think maybe Akos might just have the straight line speed as well. Jam Pancakes down the inside. He might just squeeze him off wide, but with good respect, it's good racing from the two of them. And now it's racing down to Eau Rouge. But I just think Jam Pancakes, he's got the grip, he's got the traction on the exit. And for the time being, he's in P10.
I was also struggling with the electrical energy though as Jam Pancakes, and doing that has only offered the opportunity for Akos to re-overtake him on this straight. The Mercedes have got all the electrical energy in the world to go down the straight. The AlphaTauri simply does not have it. Here he comes then with the DRS active for both drivers, but Akos is going to have the late braking manoeuvre, and I think there Jam Pancakes did not want to fight it. He's relegated back down to 11th. Time penalties are all going to push him down one position anyway. In fact, it'll be more than one position potentially for the likes of Chasta, with that 6 seconds on his name at the moment. We'll go back towards the front here as we've got a battle at the moment for P3, and this is quite an important battle here as these two are also battling potentially to get on the front spot of the second row between Bobberts and Kai, but Kai seems to be just holding on. It's all about that traction out of turn 15 and who's going to have the better traction going out of it here. You have to say certainly they're about equally matched as Bobberts is trying to push as hard as he can. We'll go towards the front though. And in the end, this sprint race has been determined by a driver who really didn't look like he was going to be in the mix immediately out the blocks, but in the end PSR are going to be very happy to hear that Levi is going to be on pole position here for Belgium. He leads the way with first place, and then Piccolo in second. It is FRA in third with Kai. Bobberts in the end with fourth place, just missing out with Venom in fifth place. And then here comes the first of the penalty runners in this 8-lap sprint race. Quantum will come across the line but will tumble to 7th with Typical coming across the line, and then we'll see how the rest of the army fields out there at the moment, as we have Chasta just holding on for 8th place, but then Maxris, as said, coming from 12th all the way to 8th place after penalties. Fresh will come across the line, but he runs out of fuel on the line, and that will force him all the way down the field with a 3-second penalty. He will fall all the way down to 15th, and Stonks will come across the line for 18th place. And in the end, Rev Caterpillar from 1st down to 19th up to 8th, and then finishes in 13th. It's been a tumultuous race for that Alpine, but it is PSR Levi who leads the way in Belgium.
Yep, great sprint race all round. Actually, I was very sceptical before coming to this one tonight, but they certainly delivered. And I feel slightly sorry for the guys at the front. We slightly neglected this race, but all the action was really in that midfield, wasn't it? It was a fantastic laps of racing, and let's hope they can keep that up for another 22.
Of course, remember as well, we do have time grid penalties to apply as well, because of course the sprint race determines the grid, and if I remember correctly, there were some grid place penalties that should be applied, if I remember correctly, for the race. So that one will come into equation. We'll see that as and when it happens. So Levi gets the first place and will get pole position. He'll take 8 points as well with that, with Piccolo in second, Kai in third, Boberts in fourth, Venom in fifth, Typical in sixth. We've got Quantum in seventh and Maxris rounding out the top 8 to score points. Chasta in the end will finish in ninth place, with Jam Pancakes in 10th, Arcos in 11th, Jack in 12th, Rev Caterpillar, the ever so famous celebrity within the community, 13th for him, Noctis in 14th, Fresh in 15th, Cesar in 16th, with Adam Dude in 17th, Stonks in 18th, and of course Axel retiring. He'll start at the back. So we have a very, very interesting race ahead of us if that sprint race has got anything to go by. Really, really intense racing from a bunch of these drivers. Now surely, when you think, if you're Rev Caterpillar in this scenario, you're surely going to want to think immediately out the blocks. I want to race hard here because I know I've got the pace, I got pole position, I also managed to climb right back up the rankings again, and then obviously I lost it, but if I've got the pace, surely from 13th, he's got an opportunity to potentially get some big points here.
Yes, absolutely, I do agree with that, but I think if that last race taught you anything, I think 22 laps around Spa tonight might be a race of attrition slightly. There are a lot of penalties there, a lot of crashes, a lot of spins. So I think if you can just keep yourself out penalty free and incident free, as hard as that can be sometimes, you could be on for a real good race tonight, and that involves any driver from 1st to 20th or 1st to 19th tonight. I think if you have a clean race, I think you could be on for a good result.
If you are a viewer of WOR purely because you love league racing and you do league racing, you'll know after a race like that one, things can get somewhat heated. And at the moment, the Discord is not very pretty. We'll gloss over that one for now anyway. I'm sure the drivers will have their conversations after this race, which they've got to focus on. Of course, those 22 laps ahead of us is going to give plenty of time for the drivers to cool down, but there may be some that might approach this race a little bit aggressively, which will only add to the theory that you suggest, Cal, that this race is going to be one of high attrition. Assuming it is going to be one of high attrition, there's going to be opportunities for those towards the midfield and back to score some big points tonight. You still think that people such as Rev Caterpillar have got an opportunity to earn some big points tonight, you have to say. But it is all about what Levi, Piccolo, Kai, Boberts and Venom can do from the top 5. And remember, we've now got to incorporate strategy, of course. It's 22 laps. We've got to start on... you've got to be on one tyre and then go on to another during your pit stop. Medium to hard, hard to medium. Hard to medium is usually the strategy to go, but at the moment the pole sitter is electing to do medium hard by the looks of things. Maxris has also wanted to do medium hard. Fresh also wanted to do medium hard out of those in the top 14. Everyone else on the hard, as I've just seen Maxris switch over to the hard tyre. It is going to be a hard medium race. If you are starting on the hard tyre, you cannot race as you did in the sprint. The tyres are going to be colder, they're going to be harder compound, and you're going to have more fuel in the car. If you decide to go for that dive bomb, you're only going to crash it, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's an extra dynamic that the sprint races add in the race. I think, first of all, you kind of got the mental side of it in terms of you go through all the emotions of that sprint qualifying, because it is virtually a race. You get caught up in instances, you maybe get hated, you might send a few angry messages in Discord or Twitter or whatever, and then you need to calm yourself back down and get yourself ready, going again for a race. And also, you've got a great point there. The hard tyres, heavy fuel is a completely different race that they're going to have to run now over these next 22 laps.
Yeah, people in the chat as well, just having a very brief conversation about what's happening at the moment. It's been an absolutely mental race. We've got 15 seconds before we get going in this race. Early indications suggesting Levi, Piccolo and Kai have got the pace here. Who's your favourite for winner?
I'm going to go for Quantum in P7.
Quantum in P7. What a move indeed for Velox as well. Who's had a really good sprint race to get back from the back of the grid towards the front. This is going to be an interesting race ahead of us. Those drivers are lined up on the grid, and we're going to get going for a very interesting race ahead of us. As I seem to have a bit of an issue, unfortunately, as we do go green and we lights out on the way we do go for this race. But unfortunately, my race director is stuck on the screen, so I cannot see here. And I think we're both currently stuck with the same issue here, which is going to be bitterly disappointing stuff if that is the case, because that is not something that this game should be implying here. We will have to see what happens next, as Cal has just left the session, I'm assuming, to get this one set up. We're back in just a very brief second to try and get this one going. As I can see from my screen at the moment, we've got plenty of driving happening on the field at the moment, as Levi is just trying to hold on for this lead at the moment as those drivers are heading around across the race. We'll be back in just a second as we try and get this stream fixed and not broken. Right, we're finally back in the session, folks. We'll be back in just a second for the continued coverage of this Tier 2 event here. For those that are just wondering, this is now suddenly, at the moment, a radio show, as we just slowly bring Callum back into this. So as it stands at the moment, we are currently behind the safety car. It sounds like there was an incident that's happened going up Eau Rouge involving potentially Rev Caterpillar. Looks like we've lost the man, the myth, the legend that is Rev Caterpillar in this race. But we are currently behind the safety car, so not much action to report on since we had to just very quickly go off the air because of those technical issues, as hopefully we'll be in the race very briefly. Very, very interesting scenario, and it looks like Rev Caterpillar and VSR Chasta were the unfortunate people to be involved in that incident.
Yes, as well as that, we've got Shizuo, Axel and ESV Ballwash as well, who've obviously been caught up in some sort of incident because they've now pitted for medium tyres and soft tyres, respectively.
You know what, that's a real shame that we didn't manage to capture that, and obviously we pin all the blame on those that code this game, you know, the code quote-unquote masters, for sticking us in the pause menu. Lap 2 of 22 then. Nonetheless, we didn't really miss that much in the form of action, and we are going to get a safety car restart, which is only going to bring more action back into the mix. So, as it stands at the moment, Levi managed to stay in pole, from pole, and is leading the race behind the safety car. We have got Kai in second place, and Kai being in second place is a jump on Piccolo, who loses that one position down to third. Venom in fourth with Quantum up 2 to fifth. Maxis is up 2 with Jam Pancakes up 3. Himself saying that he had an absolutely atrocious sprint race, but be happy to be up that position for sure. Arcos is also up 3. Typical is down 3 with Fresh up 4 to take 10th. But as we said, Rev Caterpillar and Chasta out of this race, no doubt bringing the safety car out here as we start the third lap of 22 behind the safety car. Cal, not the best showing there, I think, from the legends that bring us this game every year, but nonetheless, it looks to me as if the drivers were definitely very hot under the heel after that sprint race.
Yeah, absolutely, and I wouldn't expect anything less, and it is a shame that we did miss it tonight, because I think Spa is really kind of iconically get the better starts in League A and in real life, that run up through the on the Camel straight into the column. I think that's normally where you get a lot of action, a lot of overtakes as well. You kind of got Radio and Eau Rouge, or sometimes we see a few crashes, which I think unfortunately Rev Caterpillar has been caught up in. Oh, and Shizuo Axel has came back into the pit lane for hard tyres, and he's got a wing change, interestingly enough, so I'm not too sure what's happened there. I'm not too sure if the wing wasn't fixed first time around or if he's picked up damage in that last lap there. But yeah, the Williams into the pit lane now, and has only lost one position from that.
My guess, it could also be a combination of strategy call here. He could actually go on a set of hards to the end of this race if he wanted to now. So he will now be at the back of the grid, but of course he will not need now to make a pit stop. Nor will those that switched over to the medium tyre, although let's be honest, to set medium tyres to the end of this race on, which would be a 19-lap stint, would be very difficult indeed. Big thank you to those that are in the chat, by the way, surrounding those technical issues that we just experienced as a result. Again, outside of our control, it's the wonderful nature that brings us in Codemasters, the wonderful naturist game that definitely doesn't need fixing from day one. They unfortunately led us to a menu glitch, which caught us in a loop of unable to make any moves. However, it is the third of 22 laps ahead of us now. We're going to be leading on into this race here from Levi leading the way. He's now got to lead from the front again after what was obviously a very spicy, very heated affair that led to the safety car. There's going to be some drivers out there that's still going to be a little bit angry from potentially the sprint race. But with people crashing out, will that immediately click them into gear and think, I need to keep calm now?
Yeah, I think so, as well as that. Safety car is a little bit longer round here than you would normally get. 2 minutes a lap, so it's about 6-7 minutes you're sitting under safety car, and safety car is in this lap. But another thing to mention as well quickly is that it's colder tyres now as well. You get slightly heated tyres now at the start on this game, but now under safety car it's going to be a bit colder, and I think that could maybe catch a few drivers off guard.
Also worth making note, by the way, Caesar's on a set of medium tyres that he started on from the beginning of this race. Bobberts did pit, but he's pitted for a set of soft tyres, so he's going to be ultimately a very quick driver out there, but he didn't even use the soft tyres during the sprint race, so this is going to be a bold call to use them in the normal race. We'll have to see anyway. Levi is going to be leading from the front as he tries to get those tyres warmed up. He's weaving aggressively around the circuit to get those tyres nice and warm, because these hard tyres surely are going to be very difficult to get going. But the number 13 Ferrari, not so unlucky indeed, because he's had an absolutely fantastic fantastic start by the looks of things if he has gone as early as I think he is. He's now coming down the main straight, and he has caught Kai napping ever so slightly as we do go green again here in Belgium, and Levi will go away into La Source, managing to cut a little bit of gap on Kai, but Kai also managed to get a jump on Piccolo, but Venom has certainly not been caught napping at all as he's trying to chase down the Williams driver and his co-compatriot Shazoo. As he now heads up Eau Rouge, it looks to me very certainly that the Mercedes is going to get a really good tow. Heading down the straight here, a little bit of a cut going up Eau Rouge into Radion, but he is going to have no DRS available on this occasion, but the tow is certainly going to be enough as he looks around the outside line. He makes a move on Piccolo, and he'll go into turn 5 ahead of the Frenchman in 4th.
Yeah, good move there as well, just looking for that back. I think that's typical F1 who's in their wars with Caesar. Caesar makes a bit of contact with the Red Bull and then goes round the outside as well for good measure. Good move from him there, but he bends it in the wall as a result, and that is unfortunate, and that could possibly be another safety car, but nonetheless, big incident there for referee Caesar, and 0-0 once again in a matter of moments.
Yeah, just going through into turn 7 and coming out of turn 7 into Brookside turn 8 has now brought out the safety car for the second time in this rate of lap 4 of 22, and I do hope that this is not going to be a reoccurrence of the affair that you experienced last Friday, Cal. I imagine these drivers are slowly but surely going to calm down. We didn't see what happened on the stream, but you did manage to very much catch what happened to the medium tyre runner, weirdly enough. Cesar lost it on his own accord, I assume.
Yes, he did coming out of turn 7, I think it is. He just drops it. Pretty rookie error for a driver of his calibre, and then, yeah, it was no stopping him hitting that wall. So yeah, it's unlucky there, and yeah, you're right for mentioning getting deja vu from last Friday. 2 safety cars in 4 laps. Yeah, let's hope this improves pretty soon.
Well, we're now behind the safety car for the second time, which means Levi will be leading from the front for the third time in this Belgian Grand Prix as we manage to start lap number 5 of 22 of the Belgian Grand Prix. I hope you're very well joining us here as we're all steady at a steady 80 to 150 kilometers per hour behind the safety car. Everyone that did pit for earlier on into this race and now deciding to pit once again as Axel comes back into the pits for off the set of hard tyres that he's pitted, probably now for a set of medium tyres. Keep an eye out and see if he needs to have another wing change, but that would be his second stop of the race in 5 laps, which is scary things, you'd have to say, for the Shimizu Academy driver, having to do potentially what looks to be anyway potentially a 3, maybe even a 4 stop for the driver in 16th place. But as it stands at the moment, Levi leading the way from Kai, Venom, Piccolo on Quantum. Quantum, by the way, caught a very harsh spin going through turn 7 where Cesar did crash, so clearly the track is also not particularly grippy out there, and with those on the hard tyre they're not going to be laying too much rubber down when they're travelling at maybe 140, 150 kilometres per hour maximum.
Yeah, absolutely, and you mentioned that there's 2 stops already. I think that's light work. I think I've seen 6 stops from VSR Finn at Singapore on Friday, and he still managed to come home, and I think it's P6 or 7. So yeah, pit stops don't mean so much, what I found out in the last few days in league racing, but yeah, it is certainly an interesting dynamic. ESP Bobbers as well, on the soft compounded tyres. He might be slightly disappointed about that safety car because he's not really getting the most out of those soft compounded tyres now, is he? Sitting behind the safety car, he's going to be able to rack up a lot of tyre wear, even though they're not going at full speed. It's definitely not what ESP Bobbers should be wanting, because I think come a few laps time those soft tyres will be well off it.
Would you like some live statistics, Cal? Because
absolutely.
I have managed to just dig a little bit deep to figure out what's going on at the moment with regards to the tyre temperatures and tyre wear at the moment, and I'm keeping a firm eye on what's happening with Levi leading from the front. So if this guy's got anything to go by when it comes to tyre temperatures versus the rest of those on hard tyres, temperatures at the moment 82 degrees on the front, 75 on the rear. So they are definitely outside of the comfort zone at the moment, you'd have to say, especially on the rear. And you can see him revving the engine really harsh, I believe, try and get the wheels spun up at the back. And as a result, he's putting a little bit more wear on the tyres as a result on the back as well. It's 11% worn on the front and an average of around 14% on the rear. So he's wearing his tyres out considerably on the rear to keep them as warm as he can, but the temperatures are dropping and now dropping below 75 degrees on all 4. So at the moment, you'd have to say these tyres are getting very, very cold, and if this safety car's coming in at the end of this lap, which I suspect it will be, they're going to have to seriously get a shift on and get these tyres warmed up ASAP, because if those hard tyres are as cold on his car as reflective to the rest of the field, I have a gut feeling we're going to have a very, very difficult first couple of laps.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that kind of explains the vigorous weaving we've seen from Levi at the end of the first restart. I think, ironically enough, the man that crashed the last time was the man on the softest compound, or the second softest on the medium compound of Caesar. So, yeah, to be fair, the hard runners did a pretty good job the first time around. But yeah, as you rightfully mentioned there, under 80 degrees, that's very, very cold, and colder than they would have experienced at the start. So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how they manage that on the restart. And as well as that, ESV Bobbers, he's thought, nope, the soft tyres are not for me, as he's come into the pit lane for some fresh medium compound tyres. And yeah, I think this could be a 2 or 3 stop race now for Bobbers as well.
I'll tell you what, these drivers swinging from left to right, I haven't seen that much weaving and that much running around and that much swinging around since maybe the gig that I saw that led to a mosh pit. It was pretty frightening, and it's pretty frightening to see what these drivers are doing on the circuit at the moment to try and get these tyres warmed up. It's vigorous, to say the least, and no surprise, the temperature's still in the mid-70s at the moment. 70 degrees Celsius, that is, for those that still use a Fahrenheit scale for some reason. The 75 degrees at the moment, as it stands, is just not... I mean, it's not bad, but on a set of hard tyres, it's not ideal, to say the least. Bobbett's now at the back. Fresh set of medium tyres, and I'm just going to have a quick, if you don't mind, I'm going to have a quick look. Yeah, 90-degree temperature at the moment across the board for Bobbett's, actually. So you say they may be potentially starting to overheat a little bit, which will cool down nicely, of course, as the safety car surely will be coming in at the end of this lap as we start to see the safety car come around the final corner. We usually get the indication at this point to say the safety car is coming in, but we have not had that message as of yet. There it is, to say the safety car is coming in, and Levi, for the third time in this race, will be leading from the front. And I wonder exactly how he's going to approach it this time. Is he going to be able to catch Kai napping once again? And of course, it is not Piccolo in third, it is Venom this time, who had a very good first safety car restart. If he can replicate that, he can certainly pinch himself a second place position versus Kai, as all the drivers weaving extremely erratically to get these tyres warmed up. They are freezing at the moment. Now we're up into the lower 80s for Levi, so he certainly has warmed them up to a raceable temperature. It's just whether the drivers behind have been able to do that in the slow conditions. And he goes at exactly the same pace, and would you believe he's caught Kai napping again going into the bus stop chicane. Levi will lead from the front as he makes a bit of a mistake going into the bus stop chicane, may leave him a little bit vulnerable as they now go across the start finishing line, and we go green again once again in Belgium. And Levi, despite making the mistake, will lead from the front and have no issue at all from Kai, you suspect. But again, Venom able to hold on to the back of Kai, and to be fair, a very good restart once again. Is he going to put himself in the position to potentially overtake Kai? He's a little bit far back on this particular occasion, but it would be a bold call if he does it. It's a little bit of a wiggle going through Eau Rouge, as we've lost a driver, and it's Noctis who spun going up Eau Rouge, and he's relegated back down to 16th place, but no safety car on this occasion. Doesn't look like it's brought anything major out on the field as the drivers remain in formation across the field, and that's a very, very well-skilled drift, apparently, for Quantum going through turn 5 as he remains in P5.
Yeah, VLX Jack as well was cut up in an instant coming into Radion, unfortunately. So, yep, VLX Jack and Noptics, 2 casualties, unfortunately, from that restart. Just looking to see if there's any major gains, but for the most part, everyone was pretty behind each other. No one really going for many moves. Just the Piccolo's losing a bit of ground already. There wasn't to Venom. It's just nearly within that 1 second range as well. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this race plays out now as we're starting to get a little bit of rhythm.
Just keeping a very firm eye on what's happening with Akos at the moment. He's managed to really switch on his tyres very well. Now, pardon me for trying to mix things up here. I hope it doesn't come across this way, but those conditions out in the sky at the moment don't look particularly healthy, as the clouds are starting to come over. A few spots of blue sky may be in the distance, but those conditions are overcast, and even if we don't get any rain, the hard tyres are really not the tyre to be on in overcast conditions, because the track cools down very quickly as well around here, and that's only going to slow down those on the hard tyre. Might bring Axel and Bobbitts into the mix as well, who are racing very quickly actually versus the likes of Axel and Typical, who are making that move going into bus stop. Axel then promoted up to P12 as Bobbitts, as I rightfully just get ahead of myself and say that the medium tyres are the tyres to be on. Bobbitts has spun it going through the final corner, and I think maybe less so about the tyres, maybe just getting a bit too excited. Relegated to 14th, lost a lot of time, but he hasn't lost any positions because Jack and Noctis have both come in the pits. Looks like to get off the set of hard tyres. Noctis probably for a change of wing, to be honest with you. As while that was all happening, by the way, Kai was the first driver to receive a penalty as a result of track limits on 8 of 22, which is quite shocking to say the least, considering we've been behind the safety car for at least 5 of them.
Yeah, very early to get a safety car in terms of the amounts of racing laps we've had. It's quite crazy to think we've had 8 laps already and we've really only had 1 racing lap, so yeah, it just shows you how much that safety car can really take out of the race. Just looking at the moment as well, E.T. Morris in P6 really struggling at the moment. He's got jam pancakes really all over the back of him, really hounding them down in that ERS as well for Morris, and 40%, 38% now as they come into P1. So yeah, it just really shows on there he's maybe not got the pace to the guys up front, and I think jam pancakes could be sizing up a move fairly soon.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on Maxis at the moment, who's just now heading through the second sector, and Jam Pancakes makes a bit of a boo-boo himself, to be honest with you, as he just manages to catch what looked like to be a bit of a snap of oversteer, and now that's put him under some serious pressure from the Hungarian hero that is Akos, and the VSR driver racing for Mercedes, keeping it very steady with his electrical energy usage as he just powers himself out of the corners, but elects not to use it down the straight, so he'll keep in touching distance maybe with Jam Pancakes, but he's not looking for any overtakes now, clearly playing the long game as you'd expect from the VSR driver. Quantum, on the other hand, slightly different strategy for him. He is pushing a little bit harder. DRS now finally enabled after all of those safety cars, as we've lost Adam Dude. It looks like he's spun, maybe, I'm not sure, but he's spun coming out the final corner, and that is a bitly disappointing stuff for the Alpha Tauri, because he's now relegated down to 13th place whilst this is all happening. So people are starting to find a little bit of confidence now, potentially with the tyres, and as such people are getting a little bit of overconfidence on the tyres, because that's a couple of spin outs as a result of maybe people feeling a little bit confident. But don't ever disregard the the difficulty of a track such as Belgium, as Spa-de-Francorchamps. We'll keep an eye out on Fresh, who's putting some pressure onto Akos. He's getting closer and closer. Lower downforce setup on the Ferrari, and the toe certainly helping, but Akos stays in front into P8 as we start to see the DRS trains now begin to form. Quantum is getting desperately close here to the Frenchman Piccolo in 4th. Maxis again still trying to hold off from an attack from Jam Pancakes, who despite the half spin managed to hold his own and find that time right back up again, and kept all of his ERS, and he's now breathing down the neck of Maxis once again.
Yes, absolutely. Just to point out as well, it's been a pretty poor race for our championship leaders, plural this time, because Adam Did and Stonks joint on points, currently sitting P10 and P13. So yeah, both these guys will be looking to try and have a better second half of the race now, because both of them not really picking up too much, an awful lot of points so far.
Yeah, indeed, that's a very good point, actually. It's something that I've actually kind of kept out of the equation here, and I'm not sure exactly as to why, because of course, season is a lot shorter, and of course those points that were added up at the sprint are all going to add up as well, and the likes of Levi are going to be taking a lot more than just the 25 points for the win as it stands at the moment. He'll be taking 8 for the sprint, and I think also potentially a fastest lap point if he keeps on when he gets onto the second stint on the medium tyre, though again those conditions of just keeping out in the sky, they are really starting to look unhealthy. The temperature on my screen's dropped by a couple of degrees apparently on the track, and we've also, apparently, according to, just the sky alone, lost a lot of light. So that's also going to make people wonder, have we got potentially rain on the way, I wonder? Apparently, according to the weather forecast from the drivers that have specified on their screens, it's going to be dry. But apparently there was a heightened percentage of rain. So who knows? Anything could happen, and it usually does.
Yep, just looking at Jam Pancakes at the moment, he's been absolutely pushing Maurice through the Rouge and pull on, and there you have it up into P6. He's been along awaited that move, and now he's got a 2-second gap to Quantum ahead. So if Jam Pancakes want to get back with
Akos though as well. Oh my goodness me, sorry to interrupt. Akos was also trying to race Refresh there as well, and they're going side by side, and it looked like quite a horrendous bit of lag between the pair of them going through turn 5, and that's the second incident we've seen going through turn 5. Akos had to go off the track to potentially avoid a massive collision with the Ferrari, but the Ferrari really struggling with electrical energy going through that corner apparently, and Akos looked for the move, tried to get it done, and according to my screen anyway, he's got it done, and got it done without the need of having to give Fresh the position back despite going off of the track. I think you'd have to call maybe the game mechanics did not work at their best, as we saw right at the beginning of this race as well.
Yes, absolutely. Adam did as well, had a spin on that lap as well, so he's demoted further down and P14. So yeah, definitely a race to forget for the Alpha Tauri so far. Just looking further ahead as well, PSL Levi, what a race he's had so far. 3 seconds clear, he was pretty dominant in the sprint race. He's even stretched his legs even more in the race so far, just about a 3-second lead, and yeah, it's all looking pretty healthy for the Ferrari.
Yeah, just keeping a very firm eye at the moment on what's happening in the standings, because I think that was a very good point from there. For Stonks, Adam Dude and Akos leading the way. And at the moment as it stands as well, Stonks and Adam Dude are sharing 64 points at the top of the moment. 22 points behind are Akos and Bobbers. They're both on 42 points. And then behind that one, RP1 Winter, the reserve driver, and Levi, who I believe isn't racing tonight, they're both on 33. So really, really mind-bogglingly close stuff here as Quantum gets the time penalty for his troubles for track extension. But as it stands, you rightfully point out there, the leaders of this championship at the moment are either racing poorly or out of this race in the form of not actually racing. The lead driver at the moment, you have to say, out of all of those, is Akos, and he's only in P7 at the moment. So, as I said at the beginning of this, with that sprint race, as Noctis has retired from the session in the pit lane, you'd have to say that it's going to be an opportunity for those midfield drivers to make some inroads. And here, Venom, Kai, Levi, all electing to have that good race here. Piccolo also trying to have that good race, even though he's lost his French co-compatriots, then Noctis, who now has left the session from 16th.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I'm not too sure how correct this is, but I'm pretty sure PSR Levi is also Levi Aslet in P6 in the standings. So, the Ferrari's actually been pretty good here tonight, if you think about it. 33 points in the standings for him so far. He was very good in Singapore and World on Friday. And yeah, that's a pretty good grid. So I think he's definitely taken some confidence out of his performances in other leagues and definitely shown them here tonight. He won the last race in Tier 2 as well, and he's only turned up to 3 of the races. So yeah, Pacer Levi, or Levi Asbit, is definitely a driver to watch out for this championship, because the pace is certainly there to go and win a few races this season.
40% wear now on those on the hard tyres, so they're going to start to really begin to feel these tyres begin to fall off a little bit here. As race engineer Otis Lawrence coming into the chat say there is absolutely, positively, 100% Jota and Cal, no threat of rain, is what he's saying. He's absolutely standing by that. Those conditions out there are telling me that it really wants to rain. I, from a racing spectacle, would hope it does. From a engineering standpoint, I imagine people will be bricking it to determine if it would end up raining. Either way, we are 10 laps away from the end of this race, and this rain may end up coming after the race. That is all a determined fact, to say the least. We'll keep an eye out on that one as we keep an eye on the battle for P2 at the moment. Now, Kai has a 3-second penalty for the track extension issues that he faced earlier on in this race. Venom is getting closer, and Piccolo also in the mix as well. So Kai starting to look after his tyres potentially a little bit, as I just keep an eye out on his tyre deg. And to be fair to Kai, his tyre degradation isn't as bad as those around him. He's about 40% in on his worst affected tyre. Everyone else about 45 to 50, so he's on a bit of a tyre management strategy. And to be fair, he's working it. The only issue is that he's 3.5 seconds down on Levi.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking at P5 at the moment. Quantum had a huge mistake at the top of Puon not too long ago. So, yeah, or Radion, I should say, sorry. Not that long ago, and he's definitely paying the price for it. Now we've got to pick up the 3-second time penalty at the same time, and he's got Jam Pancakes in his rear as well. So I think we could possibly see a battle brewing for P5 pretty soon. As you can see the red light flashing on the back of that McLaren, I think Jam Pancakes will be smelling blood pretty soon.
It's smelling the colour of blood, which is red, like the back of that. You know what? I could have done a really better segue there. I apologise. Looking into this, though, it's a very, very late call to go into the pit lane, I believe, for the McLaren, who decides to brake very late into that corner. Maybe it's a little indication just to let Jam Pancakes know that he is going to be coming in, and that is exactly what has happened. So he now goes up to P3, though we've got a bunch of drivers who have elected now. I've had enough. I'm going on to a set of medium tyres, and those leading from the front of those who have made the first pit stop will be Shazoo Venom, followed by the Williams of Piccolo, and then Quantum, who are all leaving the pits now. Adam Dude is just coming around La Source here, so he's going to get right in the middle here of this little bucket of drivers that are leaving here. And now remember, their tyres, are going to be very cold, so they may end up spotting a few problems here. He's going to get off the gas, and look at that from Piccolo, who didn't have the best, looks like he didn't really have the best exit there. And again, he's already harvesting energy on the straights here, so Piccolo might be under some pressure here from Adam Dude, who doesn't really want to fight too hard with those who have already pitted here. But again, the medium tyres are not going to be switched on at this point here, as the sun just starting to arrive here, going through Brooks Eye. So the clouds finally beginning to break, and that's actually going to allow those on the hard tyre to get back racing once again. But the medium tyres are going to switch on a lot quicker as a result, and already track temperature's up another degree.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested to see then how big this undercut actually is. We know on this game's a little bit harder to get the tyres up to temperature, but nonetheless, I think the undercut is definitely a thing around here. And yeah, I'm interested to see these guys on these fresh mediums. How big an advantage you can get Shazoo Venom is the main one I'm looking at here. If you can really get a few good laps in here, could he possibly maybe challenge for that second place? If not, maybe even Levi in first.
Yeah, it's all about that undercut now. The undercut around Belgium is it's not renowned really for the undercut. It's more a bit of a matching strategy, overcut, undercut. You don't really get to see that much in the pit lane. We'll have to see. Levi does come in, and Kai gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which makes his race really going from bad to worse as a result of sort of infringements, you'd have to say. So Axel will now lead the way of those that pitted very early on the safety car. He's pitted on us for a set of medium tyres. Here comes Levi, then he leaves the pits here. It's all about that battle at the moment for the likes of Jam Pancakes. Oh, sorry, pardon me, it's Venom that we're going to be looking at here as he tries to get closer, and he is trying to fight with Kai, remember, and Kai is there, and it's all about whether he decides to push. Now, he's got DRS available, but he hasn't got ERS, has Venom. So is he going to push is the question. It's a bit of a wiggle, actually, going through a rouge. So Kai still not confident on these fresh medium tyres, which is to be expected. And the tyres are going to be cold. I'm taking a look at the temperatures here. Lovely and warm now for Venom. Kai, on the other hand, is going to be struggling with temperatures down into the mid-70s. So he is not comfortable at the moment, to say the least, as he tries to get these tyres warm. Look how quick around the corner Venom is here. And Venom certainly trying to put pressure on the Haas here. Very close, maybe even a tap. Going through Brookside, heading through now into turn 9, No Name, and again, the Haas is not looking confident.
Yeah, he definitely isn't, but fortunately for him, he's got the track position on his side, and that is the main thing. Spy can't really overtake unless it's the two main straights, so yeah, it's pretty fortunate, we could say, for Kai. And I think now, coming to the end of the lap, the tyres might start to be a bit more of an optimal temperature, and I think he maybe start to find his rhythm a bit more now.
Not going to warm them up, putting them in the gravel either, and that's what Kai has done ever so slightly, actually. Maybe the grass, actually, for that matter, but he's now begun to warm his tyres up now, looking at them mid-80s, so looking a lot nicer now is FRA Kai. So now it is all about racing for position without tyres being a factor between the pair of these drivers here. But again, Venom not really pushing that hard, and he can't, because he can't afford to use any more electrical energy in the back of that Mercedes power unit, because the number 26 has been powering very hard. He's actually into the lower 30s, upper 20s for ERS here, as Quantum goes fastest of anyone so far in P7 at the moment, as he tries to battle with Piccolo. And Piccolo is one of those drivers that's been really struggling with ERS, but Quantum's also been doing the same, as he uses ERS to go down towards the DRS detection point. Never mind the DRS zone, 7% as he enters into the DRS zone. So he's hoping to try and battle here with Piccolo. He hasn't got the electrical energy, but he certainly has the less aerodynamics. As they go down the straight here, Quantum will make the move then for P6 as Piccolo hooks in for P7. Jam Pancakes and Adam Dude switch position. Remember, Adam Dude still needs to make his pit stop, as he is potentially hoping for another safety car, but with the drivers all around at the moment not really racing each other that hard, you suspect the safety car might not be coming here for Adam Dude, but that is a bold call line we'll have to make here. Bobberts, though, has just been overtaken by Levi. He's on 9-lap-old mediums. Remember, he pitted under the first safety car, so you might as well say they're about 5 or 6 laps old at the moment, and the tyre wear, well, actually, he's not looking very good at the moment. He's down to about 55% wear on his most affected tyre, is Bobbert. So we're expecting surely it's going to be a pit stop imminently for the McLaren, potentially for a set of soft tyres to the end of this race. But he's going to have to do it, certainly, around about lap 18. So that's another 3 laps on 55% worn tyres for the McLaren. He'll definitely have track position for now. It's whether he can regain any lost track time on the soft tyre, as Adam Dude is still trying to... Sorry, pardon me. It's FRA Stonks who's battling with Adam Dude at the moment for P9.
Yeah, definitely. Stonks will be looking to get by pretty soon. Adam Dude in those hard tyres, certainly not up to scratch in terms of pace at the moment. But Adam Dude, he's going to defend to the inside, and he's going to allow the Aston Martin around the outside. He parks it beautifully there on the apex, and FRA Stonks has nothing to do there. He's going to just sit and look at the back of that Alpha Tower as you come out the bus stop chicane. They go to start lap 16 out of 22. FRA Stonks will be slightly frustrated after that bus stop chicane, and once again through turn 1 has to look at the back of the Alpha Tower, and out of turn 1 they go. Can they get the run? No, he can't. He's going to have to sit and wait. But I'd like to think coming up for Radion, they go in the Rouge and Radion now. That Camel Straight move should be pretty simple for FRA Stonks.
It should absolutely, as they go up Eau Rouge, then they're already getting the traction versus Adam Dude at the moment, who's struggling here. DRS will be open for the Aston Martin. He's hit it frame perfect as well. We didn't even get a beep as a result of that one. Here he comes then down the straight. He's going to have to go around the outside, and this will be a bold call if he can make this one do. Adam Dude goes very late on the brakes, but that is not going to work in the slightest, and you have to say it was bold to say the least, as they're still battling here between those drivers at the back here, as Arcos nearly made a move potentially on Adam Dude, but didn't work on that particular occasion as he heads down that Brookside, down the inside. That's a bold call. Around the outside, a no-name. What a move from the Mercedes to make that one around that set of corners to keep that battle with Stonks alive.
Yeah, opportunistic at its finest there from Arcos, and yet rewarded with a P9 place. He was looking further up the road as well there. Jam Pancakes managed to find himself in the DRS of Shizuo Piccolo, who's slightly struggling now. They want 10% DRS to his name, and no longer got the DRS of Quantum up ahead. So, yeah, it could be a little bit of a sitting duck now as Jam Pancakes comes up to the back of him.
Here's something for you. So Bobberts, as I suggested, has decided to go onto a set of soft tyres. They've now got the last 6 laps. He's now spun the car. Unfortunately, has the McLaren. Sorry, Bobberts. I'm just having a look at the moment. Sorry, around the medium tyre degradation at the moment. Now, Piccolo is on 3-lap medium tyres that are apparently 20% worn already. So I'm scared for what's going to be happening with Bobberts at the moment when he gets to just 6 laps. If these medium tyres are already burning at a rate of around about 20% every 3 laps. So Jam Pancakes is certainly going to be looking to try and make a move here on Piccolo here, as Alex Dagu certainly going to be very happy in the chat at the moment, as the Jam Pancakes fan club is keeping a very firm eye on this particular move as he heads up Eau Rouge. The Williams is not going to carry any speed through there. He's lacking with the DRS, and with even just a touch of the overtake button and the DRS being open, Jam Pancakes promotes himself up to 6th place.
Yep, so Jam Pancakes masterclass there up into P6. Next one for him will be VLX Quantum in P5. Once again, Quantum, not much ERS to his name, 5%. And I think that Jam Pancakes fan club could be pretty happy there, because a possible podium could be on the cards here.
Yeah, there's certainly a podium on the cards here, especially when you take into account penalties at the moment. Kai, 8 seconds, that's 3 seconds. Oh, we've got a spin out actually. Speaking of Kai, he spun going through no name, and that 8-second penalty is going to harm him twice as hard now, as he's relegated down to P7. Make that P8 potentially, but Stonks can't get close enough here. And of course, remember, Stonks is in a battle with Akos at the moment, so this has now opened up opportunities for Stonks here to potentially get DRS on the lights of Akos to hold on to P8 at the moment, and Stonks is going to need every point he gets as well. Remember, he's a championship leader in this tournament, and he's going to want to try and hold on if he can to try from a battle with Akos, who is a competitor for him in the championship. And remember, 8-second penalty for Kai, as I was just saying, was going to harm the opportunity for the likes of him to take that podium. But Venom has 3 seconds, Quantum has 6. Jam Pancakes, regardless of what happens at the moment, is definitely on for the podium, even if he just holds on for P5 and stays within the 3-second barrier of Venom, as Bobberts and Maxis are battling hard going through turn 15 by the looks of things, and a spin out for Maxris, who is now well down the field and 3 seconds back from Bobberts, never mind the rest of the field around this racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at Jam Pancakes, 8 tenths so VLX Quantum, well, we're now though, it doesn't have to make moves, he doesn't have to go too aggressive, he can just keep it on the track, and the podium can beat his. However, he's got the pace here, and I think maybe not this lap, but definitely the next 2 laps we could see him setting up a move on that McLaren.
Certainly looking forward to speaking to these drivers actually after that intense sprint race, and of course what has been a very peculiar actually Belgian Grand Prix. So hopefully we'll get to speak to all 3 of them at the end of this race. Obviously keep an eye out and stay tuned of course to this race following on, stay tuned to the stream following on from the race rather, as we have more coverage, especially to hear what the drivers think of that particular interesting sprint race, and of course very peculiar race around Belgium. So it's 18 of 22. There are 4 laps to go in this race. Levi has got one hand on the first place trophy as it stands. Axel is losing time at the moment, but what a race it has actually been from Axel. Let's take a look at the position changes. He's 17 positions up at the moment, but he is on 14 lap old medium tyres, which are not going to be healthy to say the least. I'm just keeping an eye out. Oh my goodness me, 76% is his highest worn tyre with 4 laps to go. He is definitely trying to get to the end of this race here, but he's got 1.5 seconds to Venom and Quantum, who have got time penalties, so it's not them they have to worry about. It's Jam Pancakes, and he is on a rampage at the moment, so it is about that battle at the moment for P2 potentially. Will Axel be able to hold off from the battle for Jam Pancakes to try and snag P2, or will it be P3, or will it be a puncture, is the question.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a puncture, quite frankly. I had no way he's making it to the end at the moment. He needs a miracle to make it to lap 22 on those medium compound tyres. However, if he does do it, full props to him. But yeah, with Jam Pancakes closing down on him, I don't think he'd put too much of a fight. I think Axel's main priority at the moment is getting to the end of the race.
He is not pushing too hard, I think, would be the answer to that one. But unless he's got any engineers or anyone, or maybe he's got the stream listing at the moment, to say that P2 potentially is on the cards is a question here, because with 77% worn tyres now for Axel, he is certainly going to be in the mix here. And Axel has actually just given up the position versus Venom. He's not racing him, and with the time penalties that are on Venom's head, he's hoping maybe he can stay within a touching distance maybe of the Mercedes, but it is all about that racing. And now he is beginning to push here. He's got his overtake being used on the straight, but he doesn't want to chuck the car in too hard, because of course he's just going to add more and more degradation on the tyres as it stands at the moment. Again, just having a very quick look at what's happening. 82% is his most worn tyre, and that is the rear left. So the rear left is certainly the tyre we're going to be keeping an eye on whether the puncture is territory. He is definitely fallen off a cliff. Now he is losing time left, right and centre, and I think that cliff has now come and he's fallen off it. And Axel's heroic efforts to try and get these medium tyres to the end, I don't think has worked, because he's now losing time to the likes of Quantum, and crucially against Jam Pancakes, he's already lost 2 seconds to Venom, and Venom has 3 seconds worth of penalties here. So Venom might be actually in safe distance versus Axel. Axel might not even be on a podium as it stands at the moment, with that tyre degradation being so high. Again, having another look here, 84% is his highest temperature, highest worn tyre here, sorry, as again, look how careful he is through La Source. The puncture is surely inevitable, but there's going to be DRS, and it's certainly going to be a lot of ERS available for the AlphaTauri. There is no ERS available for the McLaren, but there's going to be no DRS for the Williams, and with the lack of tyre degradation, the DRS is overdone here. That looks familiar. Michael Schumacher getting into a little bit of a tiff with potentially a bike marker allows Mika Hakkinen to make the move on the inside line going into turn 5. That looked dangerously familiar in that little incident there. Jam Pancakes is up to third on his own. Next victim, Shazoo Venom.
Yeah, it's fantastic from Jam Pancakes. He's been a world of his own today. As much as he might not win it, he might not be there, he's been fantastic. He's kept it clean all race, and there you have it. It might just be P2 coming to his name. So yeah, very good stuff for him. They're just looking for their back FRA stonks. He's done pretty well down there in P8 without a penalty. Shazoo, a Axel as well. He'll be looking to just try and dig it to the end now, won't he? But I think that could be a puncture by the looks of the way he's driving. Yeah, I think it definitely is. I think it's... Is it a puncture? I'm not too sure, but whatever it is, that car is definitely on wheels. No puncture as it stands on my screen at the moment. To me, it looks like he's just trying to play for time here, because he is really struggling out there, as we've now got 8% worn tyre on the rear left here. I don't think he actually has a puncture. I think his just tyres are beyond dead here, and I did hear a little flap of air going there. I'm just keeping an eye. No, it doesn't. It must have just been me. 90% worn on the rear left here for Shazoo Academy Axel. He is putting in one valiant effort to try and... Nope, there it goes! The rear right has just gone, I think. And that, I think, may be his race over. He's not surely going on. I swear I saw a puncture. I swear I saw the tyre blow up. I'm not sure. Maybe it was just me, but that gasp of air, it looked to me as if a puncture did occur. No, I'm sure it's gone. I'm not sure. Either way, he is losing time left, right and centre with a tyre that is beyond belief worn. According to my screen, it's still inflated and is now 91% worn, but it definitely looked like to me the tyre had just punctured then. Very, very unusual. Yeah, definitely he is. And just looking at FRA stunts at the moment on the back of FRA Kai, he's using that DRS, using that ERS now. He's looking to try and promote himself up to P6. The FRA Kai defence to the inside, but it might not be to any avail as FRA Stonks moves pretty calmly up into P6. Yeah,
very good move then from Stonks, promoting himself up to P6. He'd have had a P6 anyway with the time penalties applied. 3-second penalty for Venom at the moment. He's going to promote Jam Pancakes to second place as it stands. What a race it has been so far for Jam Pancakes, as the Jam Pancakes fan club absolutely loving that move going into turn 5, or coming out of Radion actually, wasn't it? Fantastic move indeed. He is absolutely fantastic. is Jam Pancakes. He has been fantastic this race, and I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what he's got coming up for the rest of the season, as I'm keeping a very firm eye on Shizu Axel. He's still in this race at the moment, so that's a spin, and that surely is going to be him out of this race here. Surely that's punctured. As it stands at the moment, 95% worn on the rear left is surely going to be enough for the Shizu Academy driver, who's had a valiant effort to try and get those 17 laps old medium tyres to the end, but surely it is just not going to happen. So let's take another look at the penalty situation. As you can see there's a 3-second gap. Venom needs to find another second on Pancakes if he wants to hold on P2. As it stands, Pancakes has got P3 in the bag unless he makes a mistake, because Quantum's got 6 seconds worth of penalties. So Piccolo is going to be certainly on for P4. Stonks potentially in for P5, which is certainly going to help on his championship charge, especially with the likes of Akos and Fresh also having 3-second penalties. But Typical is 5 seconds behind them. So if he could find a couple of seconds, it's actually going to help Stonks out significantly as we head just following Jam Pancakes at the moment, who's certainly my driver of the day anyway, as it stands, as they go through Ready On.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely Stonks picks up a 3-second side penalty. Commentators cursed at its finest there. And I just want to briefly talk about PSR Levi. Wow, what a drive he's had today. Sprint race, qualifying sprint race, and the actual race. He's been so dominant and has been so fantastic. One of the best drives I've seen in Tier 2 in terms of pure dominance. So yeah, high regards go to PSR Levi today.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an absolutely valiant effort indeed, actually. Let's just keep an eye out on Shizu Academy Axel, who makes a move on Bobberts on, is that the same set of medium tyres? It is. Oh, he's had a massive collision with Bobberts there, actually, and I mean, I'm not sure why. He's on now 100% worn rear left tyre. That's definitely now punctured. I'm not sure why he's racing with other drivers on tyres that are that old, to say the least. Either way, yeah, 99% worn I've now got officially on my screen, and surely that is now puncture for Axel as he spins again, going through turn 6. But enough of that. Let's have a quick chat about this guy. He's barely been in the stream, hasn't he, really, PSR Levi's, because he's been racing all out on his own with pace from start to finish, pace in the sprint, and certainly the pace to show he wants to be in this championship fight. Let's keep an eye on the Ferrari, because he's coming across the line to win the Belgian Grand Prix with Venom in second place, but with that 3-second time penalty and loss of 1 second in the one lap, Jam Pancakes will take P2 on the grid with Venom in third. Quantum will finish in fourth, but will lose fourth to Piccolo. Stonks will finish in fifth with a 5-second penalty not served for Kai. Akos will be promoted to seventh, but he will lose more ground on Stonks this season. Typical will come across the line in 10th with this really intense battle happening between Adam Dude and Bobberts, actually, as they head through into the bus stop chicane. That is a big mistake from Bobberts as he tries hard to make potentially a move on Adam Dude for 11th, but in the end it will finish Adam Dude in 11th with no points on the board. Bobberts will finish in 12th with Velox Jack in the end finishing in 13th place, as Shizu Academy Axel, as you can see, with a front right puncture, as well as, it looks to me, 0% health tire on his rears as well. So I think he's got 3 punctures at the moment, has Shizu Academy Axel, according to my graphics anyway, as Maxris is out of this race, so he will be the final driver with Shizu Academy Axel. It was a valiant effort, really, wasn't it? But it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, Joe, it's a new stuff for trying for me, but yeah, just wasn't to be. But I quite like it. He's tried something different. He thought, okay, I'm maybe not going to get a good result here by doing the normal, so he'll just do something completely different. And yeah, unfortunately, I didn't want this. There's a nice little spin coming at the final corner, and he's
he's going to get overtaken
P15 as well for good measure.
Well. I feel sorry for him. He's just been overtaken by the ghost of Maxris as well after all of that. Valiant effort, though, nonetheless, from Axel to try and get those medium tyres to the end, but he was just 1 lap too short, or maybe a couple, to say the least. Driver of the day was FRA Stonks, so for the most positions gained was the Aston Martin, but performance of the day surely has to go to the likes of Jam Pancakes. He's made some serious inroads in this race here, and that has just opened up his horizons, you'd have to say, for the Jam Pancakes fan club, who are absolutely delighted. The likes of Chandler Sieta, Alex Dagu, so incredibly happy. Oyugi Linus as well, really happy indeed to hear their fan club, and hopefully we'll be able to actually speak to the likes of Jam Pancakes, as well, of course, the other drivers on the podium, including this man right here. What a performance from Levi to get what was a fantastic first place for Ferrari, and he'll be very, very happy with his performance from start to finish. The sprint was astonishing. All of the safety car restarts and the three starts from the front he needed were absolutely timed to perfection, and he'll spray the champagne at the top step of the podium.
Yep, very good day. I've actually invited one of the wrong drivers, so yeah, let's hope they don't join, because that would be awkward. But yeah, I'll try to get the drivers in for their podium interviews. It was a great effort from all the drivers today, and yeah, it was a very good race actually for Spa standards. A great sprint race and a great main race as well.
Yeah, certainly is. Let's take a look then at those final standings for this impeccable sprint and full-on race here at Belgium, which has really reinvigorated potentially a more pronounced format, potentially a format that may want to be used more in WOR, especially if it brings racing like what we've just experienced tonight here in Belgium. Let's take a quick look then, hopefully, at those very provisional final results, because I've got no doubt there's going to be few inquiries into this one, as maybe we're not going to see the final standings here, as we still continue on with a black screen. But nonetheless, oh no, are we going to get something? No, we're not. Apparently we're not. Never mind. Let's go through to the questions, and hopefully we'll be able to speak to some drivers